Hi guys, my name is Vijay. Welcome back to my channel. In the previous one, we talked about a string data type in detail, and in this video, we are going to see another sequential data type, that is a list. Okay, so what is a list? So list is a built-in data type that represents a collection of element or items. Okay, and it is one of the most commonly used data type or data structure in Python due to its flexibility. Okay, so this is the way we can create a list in Python with the bracket notation. So this is one of the simplest way we can do that. I'll show you another ways through which we can create a list, but yeah, this is the most simpler way we can create a list with bracket notation. Okay, so let's look at some of the characteristics and properties of a list. So first one is, a list is an ordered collection. Okay, so what do I mean by that is, the element in a list are stored in a specific order. Okay, so if you look at this example, so there is an index associated with each element and I can access any element based on its index. Okay, so in this example, I can suppose if I want to access the first element, I can use this proper notation to get that. Okay, so another property is that list is mutable. Okay, mutable means you can modify the elements of a list by assigning new values. Okay, so suppose if I want to assign something at the index 2, then I can very well do that with this piece of code. Okay, so next property is, it allows duplicates. Okay, so list can contain duplicates element and you can have multiple occurrences of the same values in a list. Okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, so elements can repeat multiple times. Okay, so the next one is, we can store different data types as well in a list. So it is not like we can store only integer values or we can store only string values. We can mix the data types as well. So in this example, you can see I have used elements of different data types in this list. Okay, so it is not like we are restricted to only one specific data type. We can mix the data types as well. Okay, so the next property is, the list are variable in length. Okay, so list can dynamically grow or shrink in size. So when you are going to add some elements, or if you're going to remove some elements, then the size changes dynamically. Okay, so this is one of the property of a list. So these are few of the properties of a list that I wanted to show you. So let's jump to a terminal and try to see list in action. So this video is going to be a bit longer because I wanted to cover most of the things or most of the feature of a list. So bear with me, at the end of the video you will have a solid understanding about the list. Okay, so let's jump to a REPL and try to see list in action. So first, let's see in how many ways we can create a list. So as I mentioned before, we can use this bracket notation. So what I'm doing here is, I am putting the names of a fruit as an element in this list in first list, and then in the second one I am putting some numbers in a list. So let's run this one. Okay, so these are the outputs. It is creating two lists. So next way is through list function. Okay, so list is one of the built-in function in Python through which we can create a list. So here I'm creating just empty lists. Let's run this one. Okay, you can see here the empty list is being created. Then we can create list from a string as well. So in this case, what it will do is, it will create a list from this string for each character. Okay, so each character it will put into a different elements. So let's run this one. So you can see here it has created a list out of that string taking all those characters. Okay, so next example is, we have this range function is in Python that will give you a numbers starting from the initial value that you are going to pass here till this end value, and this end value is exclusive, so it will give me a number starting from 1 to 4. Okay, and here it will give me a range object. Okay, if I'm using just this function, it will give me a range object, and that I need to pass to list function in order to create a list. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, it is creating a list from 1 to 4. Okay, now we have another way is through list comprehension. Okay, so list comprehension, it provides a concise way to create a list. Okay, so this is the way we can work with the list comprehension. So what is happening here is we are using this for loop. So for loop is pretty simple, we saw this in previous video as well. So we need to use this for and in keyword, then the iterable here, and then from this iterable all these value will come in this temporary variable, correct? And we are taking this temporary variable and we are doing some calculation. So what basically we are doing is we are doing the square of that particular value and we are creating a list from that. Okay, so let's run this one. So if you see here, for each value which it is taking from this range object, it is looping over and creating a square. Okay, and then putting that into a list. So it is giving me this particular list. Okay, so this is a concise way, we call it as a list comprehension. We are going to see some more example where we can put some condition as well. Okay, so we'll see that later. Now moving forward, we can also use a split method as well. So if you have some string and if those are suppose separated by comma, then you can use this split method. You can pass the separator and it will create a list from that string. Okay, so let's run this one. If you see here, a list is being created from this particular string. Okay, it is separating the string based on some separator and it is creating a list. Okay, then we have another example where we can use a star operator as well. So what is happening here is, suppose I have this list the with one element only and I want to repeat this element, that is 2, 5 times in my list. Okay, then we can use this notation. Okay, we need to multiply that list by how many times you are going to repeat that. Okay, so let's run this one. So if you see here, the element that is there in the list is being repeated 5 times. Okay, so this is also one of the way we can create a list, or we can use this star operator to multiply the elements of that list in that many times. Okay, then we have this length function, as we already aware. It gives the length of a list. Okay, and we can use length function is in most of the data type. So here also we can use this length function to find out what is the length of a list. So this is my numbers list, I want to figure out what is the length, then we can use this length function and we can pass that variable. It is giving my length as 4. Okay, since I have 4 element in this list. Okay, so these are some of the way through which we can initialize a list. Okay, so let's move forward and see how we can access the element of a list. Okay, so let me comment this code. So we can access the element through index. Okay, so if you see here, I can access the element based on index. So I can pass 0, 1 or whatever index you want and you can access these elements. So it will give me apple and banana. So let's run this one. If you see here, it is giving me apple and banana. Then we can pass some negative index as well. And a negative index, it is similar to string as well. It starts from backward. Okay, so cherry will be -1, banana will be -2, and apple will be -3. Okay, so here what it will give me, cherry and banana, since this is at -1 and banana is at -2 index. So let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, it is giving me cherry and banana. Then we can do some slicing as well, where if you want to extract a portion of a list. Okay, so let's uncomment this one. If you see here, I have this list and we can use some slicing as well. So again, in slicing we need to pass 3 parameters mainly. One is start, another one is stop, and then the step value. So here what I'm going to get is, it is starting from so first let's run this one. Okay, so first one, what it is giving me, element starting from first to 4, and 4 is exclusive, correct? So it will give me starting from 1 to 3, means 1, 2 and 3. It will give me banana, cherry and date, that you can see here, correct? Now in the second one, it will give me starting from 0 till 2, because 3 is exclusive. Till 2 means till cherry. You can see the output here, correct? Now in the third one, it is giving me starting from 2 till the end, because I'm not providing any end value, correct? So starting from 2, in the sense starting from cherry to elderberry. Okay, so it is giving me that. Now the next one is, we are using step value, so it will give me every second elements from a list. Every second, in the sense starting from 0, it will give me every second, means apple, then cherry, then elderberry. If you see here, it is giving me that, correct? Now the next one is, in the step value we are passing -1. Okay, so this particular syntax will reverse the list. Okay, this we have seen in a string as well. So if you want to reverse anything, then in the step value we can give -1. So if you see here, it reverses the list. Okay, so apple, banana, cherry, date and elderberry, so it is reversing the list. Okay, so let's move forward and let's comment this code first. Okay, so now let's see how we can modify the element in a list. Okay, so one way we can use the indexing. So here, if you see in this example, so I want to replace the element that is at first index with grape, and with at 0 index with orange. So, okay, so it will do those replacement. So if you see here, it is replacing grape with banana, sorry, banana with grape, that you can see here. And in the second one, it is replacing apple with orange, that you can see here. Okay, then also we can use slicing feature as well. If we want to you know we want to modify a portion of a string, then we can use slicing feature as well. So if you see here, what I'm doing is, here, let's first run this. Okay, so if you see first example, I'm replacing the elements starting from 1 till 3. Okay, because 4 is exclusive, till 1, from 1 till 3 with grape, lemon and kiwi. So if you see here, it is replacing those. Okay, and then in the second one, since my list is changed to this one, then ongoing operation will perform on in this particular list. What I am doing is, I am replacing everything starting from 2 till end with orange and plum. Okay, 2 in the sense from lemon till end, it is replacing with orange and plum. So that output you can see here. Okay, now again on this particular list, what I am doing is, I am replacing everything starting from 0 till 2, till 2 in the sense till orange, I am replacing with watermelon. Okay, so that output you can see here, correct? So these are ways we can modify the element in a list or portion of a list. Okay, so let's move forward. Let me comment this code. So let's see some of the functions that we can use in order to add or remove elements from a list. Okay, so in the first one, if you see here, what I am doing is, I have this list and I'm appending date at the end of a list. So append function will add the element at the end of a list. Okay, so let's run this one. So if you see here, date is being appended at the end of a list. Okay, let's append some more elements. Okay, if you see here, it is also being appended at the end. Okay, so let's move forward. Here what I am doing is, so this is the insert function. So what it will do is, it will insert the element at a specific index. So here at index 1, that is banana, I'm uh, adding this grab. Okay, and then ongoing elements will shift to the right hand side. Okay, so let's run this one first. Okay, if you see here, at banana, grab came, and then banana and cherry has shifted to right hand side. Okay, and then let's run this one as well. So what it will do is, since my list is modified here, now I have this modified list. So here at third position I need to put orange, third in the sense 0 1 2 3. So at cherry's position orange will come and cherry will be shifted to right hand side, correct? So let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, orange came and then cherry shifted to right hand side. Okay, so this is the insert function. Then we have extend. So what extend do is, it takes uh, iterable as a parameter. Okay, so this is, suppose I have created this iterable, it is one of the list only. Okay, and with extend function it takes iterable as an input and it will append the elements from that iterable directly to the list. Okay, so let's run this first. If you see here, this particular list is getting appended to this list directly. Okay, so it is not like it is adding list within a list. It will take all the elements from this particular list and it is appending to the first list. Okay, so that is what this extend function does. Okay, so let's move forward. Then we have a remove function. Suppose if you want to remove something from a list, then you can do that. So from this list I am removing banana, so let's run this one. Okay, so it removed banana, and if you see here, it will remove only first occurrence. Okay, so if I have banana later also in my list, then it will not do that. If you see this one, it just removed first occurrence of banana. Okay, it has not removed this one. Okay, in the output you can see that, correct, this banana is still there. Okay, so let's remove apple. So my list is this one. Now since it is modified, let's remove apple from there. Now there will be only two elements, correct, cherry and banana. Okay, so let's move forward. Then we have a pop function. So pop function, it removes the element and also it gives you that element as an output. You can store that in a some variable. Okay, so if you see in this example, I have this list. What I'm doing is, so in pop either you can pass the index or if you cannot pass. Okay, if you're passing the index, that is fine, that particular index element will be removed, and if you're not passing anything, then from the end the elements will be removed. Okay, so in this one, in this example, I am removing first element, that is banana, then I'm storing into one of the variable. Okay, and then I'm outputting the original list and the removed element. So let's run this one. So if you see here, the banana, so whatever I'm removing, I'm receiving that here and I'm printing that out, and then from the original list that is being removed. Okay, and if you're not providing anything, then at the end elements will be removed. So this is now my list, modified list. So from the end it will remove, so only apple will be left, correct? So let's move forward. Then we have last one, that is clear. So what clear does is, it will remove all the elements from the list. Okay, so it will clear out all the elements. So let's run this one. So initially I had these many elements, so after running the clear, it will clear out the list. Okay, let's move forward. Then let's see how we can concatenate to a string, and we'll do some repetition as well. We have already seen this, but we'll see some more example. So here if you see, in this one I have two lists, list 1 and list 2. I am concatenating it with plus symbol. Okay, so let's run this one. So this list is being added to here. Okay, so both the list will be joined together and it is giving me that output. Okay, and let's see this one as well. I have two lists with the string data types, and I'm joining those two as well with a plus operator. Okay, so concatenation is happening as well. Okay, now we have some example related to repetition. Okay, so if you see here, This is my list with 1 to 3, and I'm going to repeat this 3 times. Okay, so let's run this one. And also here I have this hello as a string, and I'm going to repeat this 4 times. So let's run this one and see the output. Okay, if you see here, these particular the elements from a list is repeated 3 times, correct, within a list. Okay, and same happened with my hello world word as well. Okay, it is getting repeated 4 times. Okay, so let's move forward. Before that, let me comment this code. Okay, so let's see some of the list method. And first one is index. So suppose if you want to figure out what is the index of the element that you are going to check. Suppose if I want to check what is the index for this cherry element in this list, then we can use a index method. Okay, and it will give only the first occurrence. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, cherry is coming at second index, correct, 0 1 2, correct, and I have cherry again repeated in this particular list, but still it will give me 2 only. So index method will give you the index for only the first occurrence. Okay, and let's see what is the index for banana. So let's run this one. Okay, so it is giving me 1, that is correct. Okay, so let's move forward. Then we have this count function. So what it does is it counts the number of element in a list. Okay, suppose I want to count this cherry in this list, then we can use this count function. Okay, so let's run this one and see this in action. Okay, so if you see here, since cherry is present 1 time, it is giving 1, and banana is there 2 times, then it is giving 2 here. Okay, let's move forward. Then we have another function that is sort. So what sort do is it will sort the element in the ascending order. Okay, so this is my element in the list in the number form, and I want to sort it out. Then we can use this sort method, and it will do sorting in place in the sense we no need to assign the output from this one to another variable. It is doing the sorting in place. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, the elements are being sorted. Okay, and same happened with the alphabetical values in the string as well. So here I have the elements in the string format, and it will sort these two as well. Okay, since these are already sorted, let me put this one first. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, apple, banana, and then cherry. Okay, it is sorting the alphabetical uh, string as well. Okay, now we have this reverse method. Okay, so it will reverse the elements in a list. So let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, it is reversing the elements. Okay, now we have this copy method, and it will do a shallow copy of a list. Okay, so first let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, I'm just outputting fruits copy. So it copied all the elements from this particular original list to this fruits copy. Okay, and I'm just printing out. So I'll cover this in more detail, the shallow and the deep copy. Okay, but yeah, this is one of the example where we can copy all the elements from a list to a new list. Okay, so let's move forward and let's see how we can iterate over a list. Okay, so in this example, if you see, I have this list. Okay, and with for loop I'm iterating over the element. So here I'm passing the list and I'm receiving that in the temporary variable. I'm just printing that out. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so you can see that we are iterating over a list. Then we have one enumerate function. Okay, so enumerate will give you two things. One, it will give you the index, and another it will give you a value. Okay, and here we are doing some unpacking. Okay, so enumerate object will give you the output as a tuple, list of tuples. Okay, so and we are receiving that tuples and unpacking it here. Okay, so let's change this one a bit just to test it out. So I'm not unpacking anything, so let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, it is looping over this enumerate object and it is giving me that tuple, and I'm listing that out. So tuple is one of the data type in Python. We'll see this in greater detail. Okay, so here I'm receiving that tuple one by one and I'm outputting that. Okay, and in order to unpack this one, we need to give the variable name. Okay, so what will happen, the first elements will go to index variable, and second element will go to this root variable. So here we are doing some unpacking. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so see here, it is giving me these, since I have separated that from tuple and I'm outputting those two. Okay, so it is being printed out. So let's move forward and let's see list comprehension in more detail. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, so in this example I have this list, and in list comprehension we use this bracket notation. Within that we use for loop. Okay, and for each element, whatever computation you want to do, you need to put like this. Okay, so what it will do is, for each element in this numbers list, it will do the square of that. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, for each element it is doing the square with this list comprehension syntax. So it is a more concise way to perform something on top of a list. Okay, and in this example what we are doing is, so this is another list. I have some uh, fruits name here, and I want to convert each element from this list into uppercase. Okay, so with this simple syntax we can do that very easily. Okay, so let's run this one. So if you see here, each element, it is converting that in uppercase with this very concise syntax. Okay, then we can put some condition as well in the list comprehension. So if you see here, for each element I'm checking, I can put some if condition like this. So I'm checking if that is, so I'm using modulus operator just to check if the remainder is 0 or not. So it will check whether each element in this list can be divided by 2 or not. Okay, so it will give me a even numbers. Okay, so I'm checking if that is divided by 2. If that is true, then only take that element, or then only include that element into this new list. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, if you see here, it is taking only the even numbers. Okay, let's see this example. So here what I'm doing is, I'm looping over and then I'm checking if a character is there in this particular element or not, or in this particular string or not, because I'm looping over the uh, element of a list and each element is in a form of a string. So I'm checking if this particular character, a character, is there in this string or not. Okay, so a is there in apple, a is there in banana, a is there in date. Okay, so if that is there, then take that element and put that into a new list, otherwise discard that. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, banana, apple and date is there in the output in the new string, sorry, in the new list. Okay, then we have some more example where we have both if and else condition. So here if you see, again I'm looping over the numbers and I'm checking if that number is divided by 2 or not. If that is divided by 2, then put even. Okay, so in this list I will be having only two things, either even or odd. Okay, because based on condition I'm putting these two strings, not element. Okay, so I'm putting the type of the element. Okay, so if that is a even number, then I'm putting even. If that is an odd number, I am putting odd. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so if you see here, it is giving me what type of element is there in this list. Okay, so these are just some of the good example for using the list comprehension. I think you would have got an idea how to use this list comprehension. Okay, so let's move forward. Let me comment these code. Okay, so next one is checking the membership in a list. Okay, so we have this in operator that is used to check if a element is present in a list or not. Okay, so let's uncomment this one. So here if you see a banana is there in the list, so it will give you either true or false. Okay, but graph is not there in the list. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so you can see that it is giving me true or false. Okay, so this is the way you can check whether a particular element is present in a list or not. Okay, let's see now the nested list. Okay, so if you see here, we have a list within a list, and what I'm doing here is I am printing zero index element, that is this particular list, and then in the next print I am what I'm doing is I'm getting the second element from the first element. What do I mean is that this one will give me this particular list, and then within that list I want to get what is there in the second index, second in the index in the sense 0 1 2, so it will give me 6. So let's run this one first. So see here, in first one it is giving me this whole list, in second one it is giving me this 6 number, that is true, and then what I'm doing in this one is for the second element, that is this one, I'm changing the value at one index in the sense this one 8. I'm changing 8 to 10. Okay, if you see here, 8 is being replaced with 10. Okay, so this is how you can work with or you can manipulate a nested list. Okay, so let's move forward to see some more example. Then we have this one we have already seen, just like how to combine two lists. Let me just run the output. Okay, so this we have already seen, and also we have seen this one as well, to repeat a list the number of times. Then we can compare two lists with double equal to operator. So if you see here, I have three lists and I'm comparing these three. So it will compare lexicographically. It means based on the position. So if you see this one, so these two list are same, correct? Because all the elements are same in the same positions. Okay, but this list is bit different. Okay, so I'm comparing list 1 to list 2, that is false because those two are not equal, but 1 and 3 is equal. So first one should give me false, and second one should give me true. Okay, you can see the output here. So let's move forward. Let me comment this one. Okay, now let's see some built-in function that we can use along with list. Okay, so this one you already know, length function, that will give you a length of a list. Okay, since I have three elements, it is giving me 3. Then we have this max built-in function in Python. Okay, so this is the list. I want to figure out what is the maximum value in this list. Okay, so that we can get from this built-in function. Okay, so since 9 is the highest number, it is giving me that as output. Then we have a min function. It will give you the uh, minimum element in a list. So 1 is the minimum one, it is giving me that. Then we have sum function. Okay, so it will do the summation for all the elements in a list, and it will give you that result. Okay, if you see here, it is giving me 14. 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, it is giving me 15. Okay, then we have this sorted function. Okay, so we have seen short and reverse function in our previous example, so those are specific to a list. Okay, so those were implemented within the list. Okay, but these sorted and reversed, these function are built-in function. Okay, so it is the generic function that where we can pass some iterable. Okay, so it is not like it can only work with list, we can pass any iterable here. Okay, so these are the built-in function. Okay, and whatever we have seen before, sort and reverse, those were specific to list. Okay, so and for these two function, sorted and reverse, if you see here, it is not doing the sorting or reversing in place. Okay, we need to, after we do the sorting, we need to store that output into some variable. Otherwise it will do the conversion in memory. If we are not holding it, then that will be lost. Okay, so in order to uh, store that, we need to pass that into some variable. Okay, so let's run this and see this in action. Okay, so if you see this one, it is being sorted. Okay, and this one also, it is reversing that. Okay, so let's move forward. Then we have any function, so it returns true if any element in the iterable is true. Okay, so if you see this example, so I'll create another video where I'll show what all things Python can consider as a false and what all things it can consider as a true. Okay, but here if you see, just for showing this example, so here 0, false, and the empty string and none, these all four things are considered as a false. Okay, but we have one thing that is number uh, like greater than 0, and it is consider, and it will consider this as a true. Okay, so if in this list, if any single element is true, then it will return true. Okay, so let's run this one. So if you see here, since I have the single element as a true, it is returning true. But we have another function that is all. So in order to uh, so how this all works is, so it will check all the elements. Okay, so it will return true if all the elements in the iterable are true. Okay, if any of the element is not true, then it will return false, and if all are true, then it will return true. Okay, so one is, it is considered as a true, true is true only. Then if we have the string, and since it was an empty string, it was considering it as a false. But if we have something in a string, it will be considered as a true. Then we have non-empty list, it is also considered as a true. Okay, so since all these things are true, it should give me true. Correct, so it is giving me true. Then we have this enumerate function, built-in function. This we have already seen. Okay, so it will give you both index and the elements, and I'm just printing that out. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so you can see the output. So let's see last topic in the list, that is aliasing and cloning. So before that, let me comment this one. Okay, so let's see aliasing first. So what basically I'm doing is, I have one list here. If you see, I have this list, and this is the nested list. Okay, I have another list within this list. Okay, and what I'm doing is, I am putting the reference for this fruits variable into some other list. Okay, so here I'm creating another reference for this list, and what I'm doing is, in the second list that is a reference of the first one, I'm appending date. Okay, and then at the second index, that is this one, it points to this list, I'm appending orange. Okay, so let's see this in action. So if you see here, since I was referring, or I was referencing to the same fruits variable into this new list, so whatever manipulation I am doing, whether it is a inner nested list or the outer list, it will do the operation into the same list. Okay, so at the end, if you see the list, both the list are same because I'm referencing the same list from two different variables. Okay, so this is how we can assign the references. Then we have one concept that is shallow copy. Okay, so here we were assigning the references directly, but if you see this example, okay, so I am using this notation, okay, to so what it will do, it will copy the content of a list, okay, in this variable, okay, the copy variable, okay, but it will not copy the inner list, okay. Inner list is still, it will be referencing to the first one, okay. So this you will come to know when I am going to run this code. Before that, let me comment this, okay. So if you see here again, I have the nested list. What I'm doing here is I'm using this notation to copy the content, but still this particular list will be referencing to the first one itself. I mean to this fruits only, okay. So here if you see in the copy list that I have created with this notation, okay, in this copy one I'm appending date, okay, to the outer list, and then to the inner list, that is this one, I am adding orange, okay. So let's run this first, okay. If you see here in the outer one, it has added date, okay, and that only being added to copy only. If you see here, it only added to copy list, okay, but it has not added to the first one, okay. But what happened for the inner list is that it has manipulated both fruits list and this copy list, okay, because inner list was still referencing to the first one. Though we were making changes in the copy list, it is still referencing to the fruits one. That is why in both the list we have this orange appended, okay. So this is a shallow copy, okay, where the inner list is still pointing to the same reference. So in order to tackle this problem, we have one module, that is copy module, that we can use, okay. So it will do the deep cloning, okay. So it will copy the nested list as well, okay. So we have to import the module. So we have this import keyword in Python, okay, that we can use, and this is the way we can import this module. So under this module we have this deep copy function available, okay. So with this deep copy function, what we are doing is we are passing our original list and we are creating a deep copy of that, okay. And I am appending something to the outer list and something to the inner list as well. So let's run this one, okay. So if you see here, mango is not appended to previous original list, okay, and also this elderberry is not appended to the inner list, okay. So here it is doing deep cloning, okay. So our original list is not affected, so whatever operation we are doing, that will happen into your new list, okay. So this is one of the good examples. So I believe that you would have got good knowledge about these shallow and deep cloning. So in this video guys, yeah, it's a bit longer video, but I wanted to give you a holistic view about the list with all those functions and what all operations we can do, okay. So stay tuned on my channel. I will be posting some more videos going forward. Do share with your friends and colleagues, and do like, share and subscribe my channel, and let's meet in next video. Thank you guys.